Hello, what I want to do in this video is go over some Java programming guidelines. I would like for you to follow these programming guidelines starting with programming assignment number 5. In order to access the guidelines, you can just go ahead and click on modules. And then if you scroll on down, right below module number 5, the guidelines are loaded into Canvas, so you can just go ahead and click on the document link. And after you click on the document link, you can go ahead and download the Java coding guidelines so you have those for future reference. So what we're going to do next is I'm just going to walk you through some of the guidelines that I'd like you to follow as we proceed with the rest of our programming assignments, starting with programming assignment number 5. So let me just go ahead and open up the document. Basically, these guidelines is just a simplified version of one that has been used with good success both in industrial practice and for college courses. And I just want to specify some of the highlights, most important highlights. The first one is that variable and method names are lowercase with occasional uppercase characters in the middle. That's known as camel casing. Class names start with an uppercase letter. Constant names are uppercase with an occasional underscore. There are spaces after reserved words and surrounding binary operators. Braces must line up horizontally or vertically. You should not use magic numbers. If you have a number in your code, it should be set up as a constant. And every method except for the main and overridden methods must have a comment. So let me just go ahead and scroll on down here. There's some mention about how classes should be set up. I went through a video related to how to set up a class, so you should follow those guidelines when you set up your class. The other thing as far as methods, every method must start with a comment except for the main method. Parameter variable names must be explicit, especially if they are integers or boolean. So when you go ahead and define a method signature, you want to make sure and specify, in this case, you do not want to use D and S. You want to make sure and specify what the actual parameter variable is related to. The next item is constants. Again, in this next example, you want to go ahead and make sure instead of using 300 in your code, you want to go ahead and define a constant, and it would be final, and then the data type, and then all in uppercase with an underscore to separate the various words. The other thing talks about declaring array variables. The next one is about statement bodies. You want to make sure your braces line up either vertically or horizontally. If your if statement only has one statement, you should still include that statement within curly braces. If you do not and you add additional statements underneath that if statement, then those statements will not get executed, because if there are no curly braces under an if statement code block, only the first statement after the if statement gets executed within that block. For statements, it just kind of walks you through how you should go ahead and specify stuff when you're using a for. Exceptions we'll be talking about later. Naming conventions, again, all variable and method names are in lowercase, maybe with an occasional uppercase in the middle, for example, first player. Again, all constants are in uppercase. All classes and interface names start with uppercase followed by lowercase letters. The other thing as far as names, they must be reasonably long and descriptive. Use first player instead of FP. No dropping of vols when you go ahead and define your constant. Indentation and white space, you want to make sure and add white space when you're creating your formulas. This formula is very difficult to read, so you want to make sure and include white space when you go ahead and write your formulas. Again, this just shows you the lineup of braces. Again, when you line up braces either horizontally or vertically, it's a lot easier to go ahead and to check your braces so that they match. So those are the Java programming guidelines that you should be following from this point on when you create all your assignments. If you do not, I will be deducting a point here or a point there if you do not follow those programming guidelines. So we will talk to you later.